When Jesus refers to brother here, he is definitely talking about fellow Christians. Because this is all about discipline within the church itself. It's within our family of believers. But that said, you don't reserve this just for your fellow Christians. Jesus doesn't say, do this if you think it'll work out how you want it to work out. He just says, do this. So we're supposed to treat everyone the same way and always walk in Christian humility, regardless of whether it's going to work out well or not. He says, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault, between only you and him. If he listens to you, you have gained a brother. Now, is that powerful advice or what? Do most of us follow it? Usually not. Let's flip it. Say you're the one that disrespected somebody. Maybe you know about it. There's a really good shot. Maybe you don't even know that you did something to offend someone else. But rather than come to you and address you directly, they say nothing to you and they go out and badmouth you to everyone else. Or even worse, maybe they officially report you so that you can get in trouble. Now, in that situation, is there much chance of you acknowledging you did wrong and wanting to reconcile with that person? Or are you going to be obsessed with their disproportionate, crazy response? Conversely, you harm someone and they come to you privately and they express how you hurt them. Now, I'm thinking in that case you'll be mortified when you realize what you've done, how you offended them, incredibly repentant, apologize all over them, and do whatever you can to make amends. You want to be that person's best friend forever. Whereas Jesus said, they will gain a brother. Now, I'm going to give you some marital advice, because that's even more important in your marriage than just gaining brothers and friends like that. I'm not going to say you can't ever vent, and I'm definitely not saying don't report actual abuse. You should report actual abuse. I'm talking about these little minor annoyances that happen here and there, that are natural to any kind of marriage. You are one flesh with your wife. They're your spouse for life. And too many people like to get sympathy and attention by airing dirty laundry of their spouse and the annoyances of their spouse. But since they're one flesh, you should want everyone to love your spouse the same way they love you. So it's especially bad to vent to family and such. If a brother is important to us and our job is to edify each other as brothers, how much more is it important to constantly elevate our spouses? So one of the best quotes on this came from Lincoln. And it's not coincidence that he was a Christian. So this is pretty much where he got this philosophy. And it was his political strategy. And I'm going to paraphrase it. It says basically, if you want to eliminate an enemy, best strategy is just to make him your friend. I love it. Now, I think it's a fantastic way to go about life. I think it'll make you a lot happier. Probably make you a lot more popular. Now, will it always work? Obviously not. You just ask any Democrat in the 1850s, or specifically John Wilkes Booth. So it won't always work, but it's definitely worth a try, because we cannot control others' reactions to us. We can only control how we interact with them. And Jesus tells us how to start our intervention one-on-one, but he doesn't just leave us there if it doesn't work. He gives us a stage 2. He says if he does not listen, take 1 or 2 others along with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. So, we have some more great advice. It says by taking 2 or 3 witnesses, we have that psychological element of a neutral third party. This doesn't mean stack the deck with 4 guys and have 4 guys that attack him. If you have kind of a neutral arbitrator there, we tend to be much more defensive against our accuser, but you have these neutral people that are kind of saying like, yo brother, now this is how it played out. We're going to tend to listen to them and make amends. When we're kind to others, we tend to generate positive thoughts about them. An example I have is my future daughter-in-law has like a little stupid dog, like a 3-pound dog. Don't naturally like that kind of dog. My wife found a cat in a dumpster. Not a cat person, but the more I care for those animals, like when we're babysitting Penelope Twinkles, or I take care of Agent Jack Bauer, the cat, the more I care for these animals, the more I care about these animals. So it didn't start off like I have to like them before I do stuff for them. I started doing stuff for them before I liked them, which just made me kind of naturally grow to like them. So if you care for something, you start to care about something or someone. Now conversely, we have this mental self-defense mechanism. And when we subconsciously, when we know we've wronged someone, we start to build a poor opinion of them in our mind because it justifies our mistreatment of them. Now, this is why so many times in the Bible it tells us don't wait until we feel good about a person to then go do good for that person. He commands us to treat them well while they're still our enemy. And it's amazing how he even incentivizes it. It's great. It says, if your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat. And if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For in so doing, you will heap burning coals on his head, and the Lord will reward you. Now, this isn't because God wants us to have nasty motives. It's because he knows those feelings are already there. So he's going to use them to propel us to good works. I know there's some people in here, especially in the back, that have a very hard time forgiving people when they feel wrong. They want, So now they have this extra motive, like, I'll heap extra burning coals on their head in hell. I'll get them. I'm going to pray for them and give them something to eat, and I'm going to bring them water. And so it becomes very difficult to continue to despise someone while you're caring for them. So he knows that this act of caring and praying will often soften those feelings and possibly even turn hate into love. Now, also with bringing these extra witnesses with you to the guy who had wronged you, he didn't just pull it out of the air. It's also Deuteronomy 19:15. Jesus quotes Deuteronomy more than any other book. There is a due process element to it as well, because the assumption isn't that the complainer is even right. Deuteronomy 19:15 says, a single witness shall not suffice against a person for any crime or for any wrong in connection with any offense that he has committed. Only on the evidence of 2 witnesses or of 3 witnesses shall a charge be established. And it even goes on, it's great in Deuteronomy, it imposes if someone falsely accuses someone, the sentence for that crime is actually imposed on the person who made the false allegation. So this is definitely not victim culture in the Bible. The person complaining is not assumed just because they're complaining that they're the one that was wronged. They may indeed be the one who is in need of this intervention. So when you bring the witness to, it might be the original complainer who gets straightened out. Especially if they never approached that person one-on-one to begin with. Now, we have so many complaints today because our system is designed to appease the complaining party. Whereas this system, what Jesus is putting out here, the whole goal is restoration of the one who sinned. Remember, the word discipline itself, it's the same root word. It's basically the same word as disciple. That's the whole point, is to disciple. So when he says to treat the person who refuses to listen as a tax collector or a Gentile, he's not just talking about shunning them as a punishment. He's saying you need to recognize that if they're that unrepentant, when they know they've wronged, and they've been told one-on-one, they've been told by a group of 4, they've been told by the entire church, then that person's obviously not really saved. So rather than fellowship, what that person needs is evangelization. That's why you treat them like a tax collector or a sinner.